How's it going, y'all? My name is Nate. I'm the owner of Colorado Custom Leather and Blades, and this is the Ed Show. Welcome. Sorry about last week. My wife was in town. She's a nurse contractor, and we need to spend some time together. So we're back this week, and I want to talk about something I keep bringing up, and that's every blade is for a different job. Okay, so before I do the introduction, this is how we're going to run the show. I'm going to do the introduction, and we're going to talk about the art of the bushcraft knife and why it is such an essential tool to have if you are somebody that is a hunter, a fisherman, someone that truly likes to hike miles and miles into the woods. They don't just pull off to the side of the road and camp with 50 other people next to them, shoulder to shoulder. They are someone that respects the outdoors, lives the outdoors, loves the outdoors. Okay, and why in a bug out bag or survival situation, your bushcraft knife having a good quality blade is essential for its job and purpose, and why it's set aside from, like, let's say, the everyday carry knife. A lot of people just say a knife is used for everything. The only common every single knife has is it has an edge and it has some type of point. Doesn't mean it's as aggressive to an apex as the other ones, but it has something there. Some of them are flat, but even at that flat port right there, it's still going to have a contact point. Aggressive or flat, doesn't matter, it still has a point. So, welcome to the Ed Show. I'm going to show you guys a little bit of demonstration striker fire, or doing a friction fire, or not friction, strike fire, and was to do some batoning and some hacking at some wood to show you why a bushcraft knife is essential, because if you do it right, it doesn't matter how sharp the edge is, it's still a functional tool. Okay, so welcome to the Ed Show. This is a show where we talk all things knives. If you're someone that, like me, that appreciates high quality steel blades, uses them, lives by them, and like me also that makes them, this is the show for you. So it doesn't matter if you're a maker or somebody that appreciates them, welcome to the show. With that, we're going to talk about not just application, but honestly, to me, I'm in research and development of a few designs I have that sets it apart from other ones, and it may exist somewhere out there, whatever. I am just coming up with this off the fly of my mind and really doing some testing. So with that being said, from the design of the blade to its finish is so important when it comes to bushcraft. What I mean by that is, I'm going to show you two examples here. Now, this knife I'm about to show you is a bushcraft knife that I designed specifically for testing. It didn't need to look pretty. It was very primitive, very aggressive, because I was testing it up against this supposable bushcraft knife, because it was the first thing that popped up on Amazon when I typed in bushcraft knife a year ago, and this is what came up and I bought it. So I tested it against my design of a bushcraft knife, and you can see some differences. Mine's repairable, that is not. So we'll get into that in a second. So what we're going to run through today, some examples showing you exactly what I just did and why you need to set yourself up for success. Not just, and I say this so often to people, there's a difference between someone that wants a knife and needs a knife. This show, this lifestyle is about people that want a knife, not need a knife. Need a knife is they'll go to Walmart 1,000 times in their lifetime and buy the same quality steel and wonder why they get the same results. And it's like playing the lotto. You may get that one that was like, that dude made a mistake because he actually made it right out of a factory. Think about that one for a second, okay? Versus somebody like me that studies the different steels, does research, fails a lot, and finds out why I fail and corrects that. So let's talk about the everyday carry knife versus the bushcraft knife. You can use an everyday carry knife. I'm making this for a customer right now. He wants a fixed blade. And this is a great idea to have a fixed blade everyday carry knife. Why? Because it's a little bit more structurally sound than a folding knife. I do carry a folding knife. Okay, everyday carry knife is for that rope, duct tape, paracord, cutting zip ties, Amazon packages, all that stuff sets aside from your self-defense knife. Same thing with the bushcraft knife. Self-defense knife is only for defense. Should never leave my sheath unless I'm maintaining it or showing it to someone. Everyday carry knife should be for those things I just mentioned. The bushcraft knife can do those things, but it sets itself apart for its application of doing things more aggressively in a bush than an everyday carry knife can do, okay? And what I mean by design, it means everything from the finish to the thickness of the spine and the steel that it's made out of, okay? So you can see here we have more of an apex point. You can see here we do not. Still has a point, but this is more for your sticky, stabby. Amazon packages, in defense, if you have to use it for that, God forbid you ever did. Again, knives have all that common, but this is for those things. This, you could go into an animal if you needed to get one, because it does have a point, but it also has a nice radius right here to do its slicing application. It's kind of the Bush utility knife. It really sets itself apart because you can also make firewood. You can also chop small timbers for your shelter. It has multiple purposes within inside the confines of the woods. Make sense? So you can see the thickness there. Why is that? Why don't I want something that thin? Sure, this can go through wood a little bit faster, and actually I did the test and mine still beat it. Why? Because even though I got a thick spine, my geometry on my bevels to my edge is what matters when I made this knife. Okay. The other thing too is from the everyday carry knife with that apex is that if I'm batoning, what do you think is going to be more effective? This one is. Reason why is because if I'm hitting something that has a curve that's falling off, that wood is going to glance off and it's actually going to push the knife into the wood to the side like this. Doesn't matter how straight you keep your wrist, and hopefully you're paying attention to that because you can hurt yourself. Versus what physics tells us, when I have a flatter surface and it meets resistance, it's going to drive it down versus glance it off. Will this still glance off or bounce? Sure, yeah. But this will go through wood a lot faster if I have my bevels, my edge, and my point the way it's supposed to be designed. So let me show you some examples here. And before I do that, let me just show you this. For me, when I design my Bushcraft knives, I want to be between 22 and 25 degrees, okay, on my bevels. This is exactly 25 degrees, okay? That sets me up for a nice edge. Now, I want to show you something that a lot of people don't understand. Never take your Bushcraft knife to a razor edge. You're weakening its capabilities. Let me say that again. You're weakening its capabilities. It is not a self-defense tool where you want it to be razor sharp, or an everyday carry knife where you want it to be razor sharp or razor burn sharp. This is designed to do woodcraft. Okay, just gonna show you this. Ain't very sharp. Why? Because I haven't sharpened it, but I've also been using it on some tests. So let's go ahead and do the first test of batoning. Actually, no, we're gonna do some, not really skinning, but when I like to make my primitive fires, I like to just kind of hack some of the drier parts of the wood off. But just show you here, okay? You see that wood flying off. Do I have a razor's edge? No. I have a 25 degree, and that right there, as dry as it is going to be really good fire making stuff. Okay, now let's do some batoning. Again, I don't have a razor on this guy. It's not that sharp at all. It's all in the design. Actually, that's a flatter surface. We're gonna go like that. So just show you guys, okay? There's no cuts or anything in there. And we're just gonna do a couple whacks. I don't know if we'll go all the way through it. And I'm not using a super big stick. How many licks does it take to get through the Tootsie Roll? 3. More like batoning. So there we go. We got 2 nice pieces for firewood. 3 hits with a knife that is not super thin and it's not super sharp, because it's designed exactly what I just used it for. That is the difference. Okay, let me show you some other things here. Okay, now the other thing is, with Bushcraft knives, I think they should all be high carbon steel. I mean, that's what I usually make all my knives out of. I don't like stainless steel. It's just not it's not good steel because the edge is so brittle. The material is so brittle after heat treat. Sure, it can hold a nice razor for a little while, but it gets dull a lot faster versus high carbon steel and the different types of steels out there that set themselves apart from each other. There are more versions and variations of high carbon steels than there are stainless. Now, I just learned this today because I was really shocked at how well this stainless steel actually sparked, and here's the reason why. Crappy stainless steel, aka pot metal, which most blades made in China are pot metal, will send a spark. Can you make fire of that? Sure. I can tell you right now, this is rolling that spine. And I'll show you here, okay? It also does not like to catch though. For some reason, the ferro rod and the stainless steel do not like to work with each other, but it can be done, okay? Any spark you have can start a fire. But that's rolling the spine right there, okay? Now we're gonna take this guy, okay? And I'm not trying to start a fire, but I'm trying to show you. If you don't have flint and steel, but you have a high carbon knife, I gotta get a new ferro rod because when I start my fires, you can see the little grooves in there. I use the teeth of my striker, and it makes it really hard to do spine knives. But again, I'm not trying to start a fire, but that's another reason why you want a high carbon steel blade, is you have really good sparking capabilities. And actually this was 1080 steel, I just remembered. But that's going to what I was saying. So material, 1080, I mean, I'm 5160 even. But if you really want a good spark, staying in the tent, in my opinion, 1095 is the best you can do, or W2. I haven't made really any knives out of W2. This is 1080. This is not heat treated. This was off of a class I did with my students. Yeah, so this is 1080. This is another class I did. And my students, this was mine, and they're just following along, teaching them the basics, fundamentals of smithing. But this is not heat treated, and it has a really good spark. And it's not heat treated. The spine's not hard, but tools, really what it comes down to is tool skills. Anyways, guys, I think I've made my case here. So when you buy a bushcraft knife, look at the thick, and look how it's designed, how long it is. I love this length for the purpose, I'm away from the edge a lot. So if I accidentally slip or whatever, don't have a guard on this thing, I can whack and hack all day long and be safe, okay? It's all in the design, the thickness. If you have a super thin bushcraft knife, which, I mean, you can have a couple if you want to, but you have a super thin one, you're gonna risk bending it versus something that has some meat to it. As you saw in the video here, split right through with no problem. So with that being said, have fun in the bush, but have the right tools for the bush, because that's what makes you safe. Don't start forest fires. If you don't know what you're doing with fire, don't be dumb. Please don't be dumb. This was just to show you why high carbon steel is the better way to go when it comes to bushcraft knives. All right, guys, if you have any questions, again, bushcraft knives is all about the design, from the bottom of the tang to the point, what kind of point it has. Is it a draw point? And honestly, that is the best type of bushcraft knife to have, is that very subtle draw point, because of what I just demonstrated. So material, high carbon steel, stay away from stainless steel. It's not worth it. The finish, why do you want a mirror finish on a high carbon steel blade? Ever, because it's going to have a patina as soon as you cut hot meat. It's going to rust. It's going to have all kinds of things. No matter how well you take care of it, it's going to get scratched. It's a tool. A bushcraft knife is a tool. Use it accordingly. And if you're a maker out there, think about your finish on them. All right, guys, God bless. See you soon.